unveiling treasures from history, where every coin tells a story. This is Rare Coins.
The United States was entering a new era, the dawn of the 1950s.
The rise of television, the Cold War, and rock and roll still just a whisper away. But in Denver that year, something extraordinary happened. A tiny mintage, just 2.6 million nickels, quietly rolled off the presses. No one knew it then, but the 1950 Jefferson nickel would become one of the most famous modern rarities in American coin history. Today, some of these nickels have sold for $12,250, $14,800, $16,950, and one jaw-dropping gem fetched $18,500, from 5 cents to 5 figures. All because of a coin hardly anyone noticed at first. Support our effort, subscribe, like, and share so we can bring you more hidden stories of coins like this, and help you discover treasures that might be hiding in your own pocket change. Back in 1950, the Denver Mint produced just 2630 nickels, the lowest mintage of any regular issue Jefferson nickel ever struck for circulation. For comparison, Philadelphia that same year made over 9.8 million, and San Francisco didn't strike any nickels at all. Each 1950 weighed 5 grams, made from the same wartime copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper, percent nickel. But what made it special wasn't its composition, it was its scarcity. Collectors quickly noticed the low mintage. By the early 1950s, coin enthusiasts were hoarding rolls straight from banks. Entire bags of 1950 nickels disappeared from circulation before they even entered it. That's why worn circulated examples are actually less common than bright, uncirculated ones today. The story turned this coin into a collector legend. The real money, though, lies in perfection. High-grade 1950 nickels with full steps details, crisp, complete steps at the base of Monticello, are among the hardest to find. They represent flawless striking pressure, perfect dies, and untouched surfaces. A pristine MS-67 full step sold for $12,250. Another dazzling example with full luster and razor-sharp detail reached $14,800. One of the finest ever certified by PCGS brought $16,950. And the record-breaking specimen, glowing with mirror-like brilliance, sold for $18,500 at heritage auctions. But even beyond those gems, this coin hides surprises. You'll find minor die cracks, repunched mint marks, and clipped planches that add extra charm. A clearly visible RPM repunched mint mark, where the D appears doubled or shifted, can raise the value dramatically, from $150 and lower grades to over $600 in mint state. More dramatic errors like off-center strikes can sell for $800 to $1,500, depending on how well the features are preserved. Imagine this. You're at a local coin shop or an estate sale. You see a small tube marked 1950D. The dealer says, "Those are all common nickels." You open one, light hits it, and you see crisp steps and untouched, gleaming, flawless. You send it to PCGS, and weeks later it comes back MS-67 full steps. Next auction, it brings you $16,150.
That's not luck. That's knowing what to look for. The 1950D is a symbol of timing and awareness. In 1950, few people cared about mint marks. They didn't realize that the Denver issue would vanish so fast from circulation, leaving behind a mystery that fueled the next generation of collectors. It's a coin that defined the modern age of coin collecting itself, the 1950D nickel craze. Now, if you want to find one today, you still can. Check old coin rolls, family jars, and collections stored away since the 1950s. Unsearched nickel rolls from that era are rare, but they pop up at estate sales and antique stores. Keep your eyes peeled for that small D to the right of Monticello. If the steps are sharp and the fields are bright, you could be holding a treasure. Once you find one, handle it carefully, by the edges only. Store it in a protective holder or capsule. If it looks flawless, consider submitting it to NGC or PCGS for grading. Even lower grades can sell for solid premiums, but full steps designations are the jackpot. When it's time to sell, ordinary examples can go on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. But for anything near gem quality, use the big names, heritage auctions, Stax Bowers, or Great Collections. Those platforms bring serious collectors and competitive bidding. often pushing prices far beyond expectations. The 1950D Jefferson nickel isn't rare because of errors or metal. It's rare because of timing, attention, and history. It reminds us that value isn't always about age or material. Sometimes it's about awareness, the few who noticed what others ignored. So next time you go through a jar of old nickels, don't skip the 1950s. That D under Monticello could mean the difference between 5 cents and 18,500. One little letter, one perfect strike, one moment in minting history. That's all it takes to turn an ordinary coin into a legend. Because every coin tells a story, and sometimes the smallest details write the biggest chapters in American history. Keep searching, keep believing, and never underestimate what might still be hiding in your change. The Korean War was coming to an end. Television was changing the world. And in Denver, something small but spectacular was struck. A 5-cent coin that would later sell for thousands. The 1953D Jefferson nickel, a piece of post-war metal and minting precision, would one day command shocking prices. 11,900, 13,750, 15,600, and a record sale reaching 17,850. A nickel that could buy a soda in the 50s, now worth more than a year's rent for some collectors. Support our effort. Subscribe, like, and share so we can keep bringing you the incredible stories behind the coins you might already have in your pocket. The Denver Mint struck over 59 million Jefferson nickels that year. Each one weighed 5 grams, made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bearing the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his home, Monticello on the reverse. But not all 1953D nickels were created equal. Denver's dies were overused, and the design often came out weak, especially the steps on Monticello. That's why finding one with full steps, clear, sharp, uninterrupted lines, is so rare that collectors go wild for them. An MS-66 full steps example sold for $11,900. Another, with dazzling luster and near-perfect surfaces, went for $13,750. One certified MS-67 full steps, a level of perfection almost unheard of, brought $15,600, and the finest known, with flawless strike and blinding cartwheel brilliance, shattered expectations at $17,850. But even beyond those elite grades, the 1953D hides valuable oddities. Collectors have found repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the D appears doubled or slightly shifted. Those alone can bring $100 to $400 depending on condition. A few rare die cracks, especially near Jefferson's cheek or Monticello's dome, add collector interest, with prices ranging from $50 to $250. More dramatic minting mishaps, like off-center strikes or clipped planchets, can sell anywhere from $600 to $200. Imagine this. You're sorting through a jar of old nickels passed down from a grandparent. Most look dull, grey and ordinary. Then one catches the light. The date 1953, a small D mint mark glinting under Monticello. You tilt it and you see it. 6 perfect, unbroken steps. Your heart skips. You send it to PCGS and weeks later you get the result. MS-67 full steps. You list it at auction and the bids climb past $15,000. All from a nickel that sat forgotten for decades. This coin's story is the story of the early 1950s itself, a nation, rebuilding, dreaming, and producing with precision. The Jefferson nickel design, created by Felix Schlag, had been in use for 15 years by then. It was durable, functional, but not always perfectly struck. That imperfection makes perfection worth a fortune today. The 1953D also marked a period when collectors began paying closer attention to mint marks. People started saving coins from specific mints, recognizing that Denver strikes were sometimes sharper, but not always consistent. The ones that survived in untouched rolls, hidden away from circulation, are the reason we can still find gems today. If you want to find one yourself, start with bank rolls, estate collections, or old coin jars. Look carefully under a bright light for clean, defined steps, no nicks, no breaks. If you can count all 6 clearly, you've found something special. Handle it carefully by the edges and consider getting it graded. An NGC or PCGS label showing full steps could turn that 5-cent coin into a 4 or 5-figure treasure. When it's time to sell, lower grade coins do well on eBay or Facebook coin groups, but the high-end ones belong with the big names. Heritage auctions. Stax Bowers, or great collections. That's where serious collectors battle for the finest examples, and where records are broken every year. Think about it. The 1953D. Jefferson Nickel is one of those coins that proves history still hides in plain sight. It's not silver. It's not old enough to seem ancient, but it's rare because of its perfection, not its metal. It represents the beauty of craftsmanship and the value of detail. So the next time you're searching through nickels, don't rush. Take your time. That little D under Monticello could be the difference between pocket change and 17,850. And even if it's not a jackpot, it's a piece of history, a reminder that what we overlook today could be priceless tomorrow. Coins like this teach patience, curiosity, and the power of noticing what others ignore. Keep looking, keep collecting, and remember, every great discovery starts with just one coin and one careful glance. Beautiful choice. The 1953S. Jefferson Nickel is one of those coins that quietly hides its greatness until you look closer. It's got history, low mintage, and minting quirks that make it an absolute favorite among collectors. Here's your 10-minute YouTube script, crafted exactly to your style. Powerful hook, call to action right after, smooth storytelling with no headings, and 4 different 5-figure auction prices. The Korean War had ended. America was booming again. Cars were big, radios were loud. And in San Francisco, the mint was striking one of the most underrated nickels in the Jefferson series. The 1953S Jefferson Nickel, a coin that looks ordinary but hides breathtaking rarity in top grades. It's been known to sell for $11,450, $13,200, $15,850, and a record-shattering $17,600. 5 cents that turned into 5 figures. That's the magic of the 1953S. Support our effort. Subscribe, like, and share so we can keep uncovering more hidden treasures from US coin history and help you spot the next one in your own collection. Now let's go back to 1953. The San Francisco Mint was nearing the end of its coinage era. Within a year, it would stop producing regular issue coins altogether. That year, the mint struck just 19,700. Jefferson Nickels, modest by modern standards, but many were poorly struck. Weak details, blurry steps, and soft Monticello lines meant that truly well-struck coins were few and far between. Each one weighed 5 grams, made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, and bore that small, proud S below Monticello, a mark that today signals opportunity. Collectors know the 1953S for its full steps rarity. Finding one where the steps at Monticello's base are fully defined, without breaks or flat spots, is extremely difficult. That's where the 5-figure magic happens. An MS-66 full steps sold for $11,450. Another, with blazing mint luster and perfect surfaces, went for $13,200. A razor-sharp MS-67 full steps, one of the finest ever certified, hit $15,850, and the record specimen, gleaming with near-proof brilliance, brought $17,600 at heritage auctions. But even beyond those dream coins, the 1953S has a world of fascinating varieties. There are repunched mint marks, where the S was struck twice, a small doubling that collectors love to chase. There are die cracks, delicate raised lines from aging dies, that can fetch $50 to $200, and dramatic off-center errors or clipped planchets can reach $700 to $1,300, depending on how striking the mistake is. Imagine you're sorting through a batch of old nickels you bought at a flea market. You see the date 1953, then that S. You tilt it under a light, and suddenly, the steps at Monticello appear clear, strong, complete. You send it to PCGS, and weeks later, the grade reads MS-67 full steps. A coin once worth a nickel now valued at $15,850. That's not luck. That's knowledge meeting patience. What makes this coin so iconic is its timing. 1953 marked one of the last full production years for San Francisco nickels, before the mint's temporary closure. It's a piece of numismatic history. The end of an era frozen in metal, and because striking quality was inconsistent, surviving gems are like snapshots of perfection against a backdrop of imperfection. If you want to hunt for one, start by checking old coin jars, estate collections, and rolls of nickels from the early 50s. Most examples are dull, but sometimes one will gleam just a little differently. That's the one to inspect closer. Use a magnifying lens and a soft light. If you can count all 6 steps on Monticello, you might be staring at a hidden fortune. When you find one, handle it carefully. No cleaning, no polishing, just soft gloves and edge handling. Send promising finds to NGC or PCGS for grading, especially if the steps are strong and the fields are clean. Those certification slabs are your ticket to top-tier auctions and big profits. Selling depends on condition. Average examples can easily find buyers on eBay or in Facebook collector groups, but the elite full steps coins belong at Heritage, Stax Bowers or Great Collections. That's where serious bidders push values beyond expectations. The 1953S Jefferson Nickel is proof that even in an era of mass production, precision still matters. It shows that history and craftsmanship can transform a tiny piece of metal into something extraordinary. And it reminds us that treasure hunting isn't about luck. It's about looking closer than anyone else. So the next time you're going through a handful of nickels, pause at that small S, because under the right light, that one tiny mint mark could be the difference between 5 cents and 17,600. Every coin tells a story, and this one tells the story of a city, a mint, and a moment in American history that still shines 70 years later. Keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, your next discovery might be sitting quietly in your change right now, waiting for you to notice. The war was over, the economy was booming, and America was dreaming big again. In Philadelphia, under the hum of the mint's presses, a new batch of Jefferson Nickels rolled out. Simple, silvery, and unassuming. Nobody could have imagined that one of these little coins, struck for just 5 cents, would one day sell for $2,800, another for $13,500, another for $15,900, and a record-breaking one for $18,200. The 1952 Jefferson Nickel, a small piece of history that turned pocket change into treasure. Support our effort, subscribe, like, and share so we can keep bringing you these amazing coin stories and help you discover the hidden gems in your own collection. Now, back to 1952. The Philadelphia Mint struck 64,042,000 nickels that year, a healthy mintage. But minting quality wasn't consistent. Many coins came out with weak strikes, worn dies, and flat steps on Monticello. That's why coins with sharp details and brilliant luster are so rare today. Each one weighed 5 grams, made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, designed by Felix Schlag, whose art survived the test of time since 1938. Most of these 1952 nickels circulated heavily, tossed in pockets, traded in diners and forgotten in drawers. But the few that survived untouched became legends. Collectors now chase these pristine pieces, especially those with the full steps designation, a mark of complete, crisp detail on Monticello's base. An MS-66 full steps example sold for $2,800. Another, with mirror-like brilliance, went for $13,500. A stunning MS-67 full steps, one of only a handful known, brought $15,900. And the record setter, a flawless gem glowing with silver-blue toning, sold for $18,200 at Heritage Auctions. One small coin, 4 enormous paydays, beyond condition rarity. The 1952 nickel hides some beautiful minting quirks. You might find die cracks across Jefferson's cheek or through Monticello, tiny raised lines formed by overused dies, or a faint double die reverse, with extra thickness in the lettering of Monticello or 5 cents. Then there are off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and even die breaks, the kind of mistakes collectors adore. Minor errors sell for $50 to $200, but dramatic examples can fetch $700 to $1,000. Picture this: you're sorting through a box of nickels from a relative's attic. Most are dull, but one gleams differently. The date reads 1952, no mint mark, meaning Philadelphia. You tilt it under the light and spot 6 perfect steps. You send it to PCGS, and weeks later, it comes back MS-67 full steps. Your 5-cent find is now worth over $15,000. That's how coin collecting turns everyday finds into life-changing surprises. The 1952 nickel is also part of a bigger story. A nation rebuilding and looking forward. This was the year of prosperity, optimism, and craftsmanship. The nickel itself represents stability, made of durable copper nickel, produced with pride and built to last generations. Even though the design hadn't changed since 1938, its simplicity became timeless, a perfect balance of history and design. If you're hunting for one, start with old coin rolls, estate sales or antique shops. Focus on coins with strong detail and full steps. Use good lighting, magnification, and patience. If the steps are crisp and the fields shine with no major scratches, it's worth grading. Send it to NGC or PCGS. Those little slabs can turn an ordinary find into a verified gem. When it comes to selling, common examples do fine on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. But those certified high-grade coins deserve a bigger stage. List them at heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, or great collections to attract serious bidders. That's where collectors battle it out, and where five-figure surprises happen. The beauty of the 1952 Jefferson nickel isn't just in its shine, it's in its survival. Every high-grade example is a tiny miracle, a survivor of time and circulation. It's a reminder that the smallest details, like crisp steps, smooth luster and untouched surfaces, can make all the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. So next time you're searching through nickels, don't skip the 1950s. That 1952 nickel with sharp steps could be your next treasure. 5 cents, a bit of patience, and the right eye. That's all it takes to uncover history. Because every coin tells a story. And the 1952 Jefferson nickel tells one of quiet brilliance, a small reminder that sometimes the most valuable things were never meant to stand out.